that no matter what happens in the world, we have the ability to make choices that are different than the ones that we make. And so however I got here, there is just a long list of choices that I have made to get me right here at my age to be a professor in this classroom. A long list of choices. Over here are the external factors and forces that shape our lives. In all of the external things, the parts of my life, where I grew up and who my parents were and everybody I met along the way and things that happened to me and a litany, a myriad, a wide range of things that I don't even see that affect me. But then if I think about it, I will say, wait, hang on a second. That choice I made over here was shaped by factors and forces over there. And all of these factors and forces over here were shaped by my choices over there. In other words, it's perfectly balanced. I'm going to walk us through how difficult it is to straddle the line where we understand that freedom, free will, and structural factors and forces are always in play at every single moment. And so I want to have a conversation with you, and here's the line. We're going to use this line, okay? And on one side of the line is the free will argument, and the other side is the determinism argument. And I'm going to start asking you questions. We're going to talk. I'm going to ask you questions. You're going to ask me questions. And we're going to just keep seeing where we get on one side of the line or the other. So listen, man. How'd you get here?
I am the child of immigrants from Sierra Leone. I was born in New York City. And I lived there till I was about like 8 or 9. Then I moved to Philly.
Okay, hang on, man. So you're right there. You're now in back up. So he's in structure mode, right? Because he's immigrants already, child of immigrants from Sierra Leone. Okay. Yeah. So he started right there. So we're in this. All right, go ahead, man.
So I was in Philly. I went to Philly public schools growing up, right? So for anybody that's in Philadelphia, you know that the school system, the way it works, we have zoning laws. You had to go to your neighborhood school, the school that was in your zip code, no matter how good or how bad it was. The only chance that you had to go to a better school in Philadelphia was if you tested out to a special admission school or you won the lottery system for a school. And most kids didn't win the lottery or didn't test out. So this is me in 8th grade, by the way. So I'm like 13 years old. That's
so you're in the world of structure.
Yeah,
right?
This is structure.
These are all the things that we want to know about sociologically. So he's not said a single thing about himself. Whether he wanted to go to one of those schools or whether no decisions that he made or his parents made or anything. So he's staying right there. Okay.
Right. So here's the thing though. In 8th grade, I worked really hard. I did my work. I was involved in school.
All right, hang on, man. Right? Hang on. Now you're here. Now he's here, right? See how he moved? Okay,
I did well on the state test. And because of that, I was actually given a special admittance to a public magnet school.
Why do you think you did well on the state test?
Why do I think I did well in the state test? I had,
come back in the middle. Come back, stand right on the line here, right? Why'd you do well on the state? You're going to have to say something that's either your choice or something here.
Why I did well? Well, for one, I went to a pretty good middle school because we moved into a good zip code, right? But the thing is, I worked really hard.
Why'd you work really hard?
Long hours. And it's because being the child of immigrants, right? Any child of immigrants here? Yeah, y'all know how your parents are really hard on you, right? You didn't come to this country just to waste your opportunity, right? So I worked really hard because not only because my mom told me to, but it's like I understood just, being an immigrant, you want to make the most out of every opportunity.
Wait, hang on. So let's do this. Everyone who raised their hands, how many of you have parents who actually didn't care if you studied hard? Who told you, yeah, it doesn't really matter? A few, okay? No, the immigrants, right? Just the immigrants. Your parents didn't really care? Couple? Okay. So therefore, were your parents making a choice to tell you Were they making a choice to tell you to work
Were they
hard?
making a choice? I mean, look, listen, they had a whole list of choice and chance of what brought them here, right? And so, in a way, it's both, right? But they were making a choice. Well, I don't even know, right?
There you go. So you're
I don't
now in
even
the
know.
center. You're now in the center.
Right in the
with
center, because if we
immigrant
look,
parents.
did my immigrant parents make that choice? Well, sociologically, it doesn't seem like they did, even though to me it kind of does.
You get that? You get that? They didn't, but they did. Okay? When every immigrant parent does the same thing, now this is where the sociologist comes in and says, I'm not really sure they're making that choice. It's really, in a way, it's like everybody wore shoes here today, right? Y'all wore pants. So like, y'all wore shoes. Nobody came barefoot. Well, maybe you didn't make the choice. Is that really a choice? Like, really? Does it matter? See, I'm thinking sociologically. Don't like take a hit off a joint and go like, yeah, man, I don't know. Like, yeah, okay? Like, it's not like that, okay? Okay, so go ahead. But nonetheless.
So this is all at 13. I'm 8th grade,
Yep,
right?
yep.
And so I tested out. I got into a magnet school in the city, right? In Philly, there are a few good, like, of the public schools, they have a few really good magnet schools that do pretty all right, okay? So I went to a magnet school in high school, did well, played lots of sports.
You worked hard.
I worked hard. I worked my A off. This is what the kids say. I locked in and lucked out, right? So
Why did you? Like, what choices were you making in your head?
So-
Forget about your parents'
yeah, so
voices.
the choice that I was making in my head was that, number one, I wanted to go to school on a scholarship so I wouldn't be riddled with debt when I graduated.
You knew that at 13?
I knew that at 13. I knew that at 13 because one of the things, I also grew up in a low income household, right? So I also knew that, like, if I wanted to go to college, if I wanted to go to a really good college, I needed to do everything in my power to make sure that I got there, whether I was like athletics, whether I was through academics. When I was in my senior year, I applied to 13 scholarships.
Okay, hang on though. So you're now up here.
I'm all the way up here. I'm all the way up here.
You're
I'm
freedom.
locked in.
He's locked into freedom. Okay, but hang on. I want to know, like, but it's not that it's. I'm not saying you're not making it. Somebody must have been there for you, besides your parents.
Yeah, of course. I would be
Counselors?
foolish to say, oh, I got it out the mud by myself, right? There was a lot of circumstances that actually influenced my mindset that made me really self-driven in a really cool way.
Okay,
but
wait.
even more than that.
Okay, wait.
I'll go
Hang
for that.
on. Listen, you understand? We're being intellectual here, right? I'm not telling him, oh, you didn't. I'm not bringing him down. I'm not saying, hey, Will, you didn't necessarily achieve all that. You had all this. No, we're not doing that. This is not about responsibility and all that kind of stuff. This is about intellectual understanding. So I stopped him to say, yeah, you made all those choices, but now, wait, what was behind those choices too? You got it? This is intellectual understanding. So what were some of the things that helped you with those choices?
Yeah, no, Sam, and I think I really appreciate where you're pushing the class to go, right? Because oftentimes when we look at our life, when we look at our choices, we just think, oh, I just made good decisions. But I can tell you that when I reflect on my choice, there's always a cause that I can like pinpoint of just like what allowed that choice to happen. Whether it was an option, whether it was an opportunity.
What helped it to happen?
Well, yeah, what helped
Because
it
it
to
is
happen.
also a choice, man. It is also a choice. I don't want to diminish that.
No, we're not going to
Okay.
diminish that, right?
Okay.
But the thing is,
So stay on the line.
Yeah,
Stay
I'm
right
going to stand on the line.
Okay.
Right? Because we want to get there, right? We can talk about choice and even what that means, right? But let's stay like here right now, right? So it is a choice. So I made choices, but here's the thing. So I just told y'all from the age of 13, I knew that I wanted to go to college on a scholarship. That was a driving factor for a lot of the choices that I made in high school. Why did I want to go to college on a scholarship because I came from a low income family and I knew that paying for college was going to be really difficult if I didn't do that. So how did that impact my choices? Well, listen, I was really athletic, so I played 3 sports: football, basketball, track and field. And I was like, hey, listen, I'm going to go to school with D1, D3, something. I was also really good at studying. And I was really good at school. And I had really good teachers that when I was struggling, spent extra time, helped me, supported me, helped me overcome barriers in my own academics. And then, now let's talk about senior year.
Wait, hang on. I want to hold. So you went from choice here, right? His choice. Like, this is me. I worked really hard. I decided I needed a scholarship. Because, man, there were a lot of kids that you were in your neighborhood that they also were poor, and they were also wanting to go to college, but they didn't work as hard as you.
They didn't. Well, let me tell you this. There are some people that did, right? But if they worked just as hard as I did, or even harder, and they were at a non-magnet school, they're looked at way differently in the college admissions process.
Okay, so
that's number one.
That's school. You won the lottery there in that one spot.
Well, it was a special admission, so I tested into it, but it is also a lottery system in that regard. So I did get lucky. Okay. In a way.
Mm-hmm. So
it's personal merit with opportunity.
And then some of it is just your brain, man.
It could be brain power, right?
Yeah. And so at what point now is your parents, at what point now is your family really involved in things, right?
So my family didn't necessarily have to be involved. I was very self-driven in high school. I was very self-driven in high school. Okay. I got to take the SAT. Man, how do I prepare for the SAT? So this is the spring of my junior year. I'm like, man, how do I prepare for the SAT? Some of you in this classroom probably started taking the PSAT, had SAT tutoring by your sophomore year, and I was already like, man, I'm cooked, right? That's what you. So anyway, take the SAT, I take the ACT, I try to look for free resources because I go online, I see that the classes are $2,000, and I was like, yeah, buddy, I can't afford that. You know, I'm on free and reduced price lunch. That's not happening today. So I do my best, and really strong GPA. But then when I was just looking at my application, I was like, all right, listen, I'm not in the top 1% of the SAT testers. I'm right under that median, but let me just take the shot and I'm gonna apply to Penn State anyway. So while my application was getting reviewed, there was this organization, a nonprofit organization called Philadelphia Futures, and what they did was like they try to provide and create opportunities for students in the inner city to attend some of the most elite colleges in the country and help them matriculate through, right? Graduate from college. So there was this woman from the program who connected me with a recruiter from Penn State, who then, I don't know what she did, I don't know if this had an impact, but she just helped me out a lot in this admissions process, getting me connected to the right people. And I find out I'm accepted to Penn State. It was like a really big deal. But then I was like, man, I don't know if I can go to this school because I can't afford it. I mean, the tuition is even way more expensive now than I was. I don't know how y'all doing it. I definitely couldn't afford it today. So then now I'm still in this like area of determinism because I'm just like, wow, how am I going to go to school? Philadelphia Futures, I told you in the beginning, I applied to 13 different scholarships. I got rejected from every single one except the one from Philadelphia Futures that gave me enough money to come up to Penn State on a full ride because of my academic merit and my character traits, right? And then even more so, there was another layer that happened, right? Where so I was like, oh, I'm at Penn State. This is really cool. I'm super excited to come here, right? One day, so I was also an alum of the Honors College, okay? Now how that happened was, I was like, I barely got into Penn State as far as I know, because I don't really know what they saw, right? But I'm just thinking like, I'm like 17 at the time, like I barely got into Penn State.
So you're thinking I barely got in.
I'm thinking I barely got in, but I don't really know.
Yeah.
I don't really know what they saw, right? So
well, hang on. But you see, you hear him now. He's not that different now than he was when he was 17, sitting here. So clearly they saw something.
Right. Okay. So then I'm walking, I'm like, what's this, like fourth period history? I don't remember. I'm going to the bathroom and I passed my college, my high school AP counselor. And she was like, yo, hey, yo, Will. I'm like, yeah, what's going on? You know that the honors college is actually here right now. I was like, no, I didn't know that. He was like, your name wasn't on the list? Name was not on the list. I had to go back to class, miss. He said, no. I'm going to write you a pass. Drop what you're doing. You need to go up there right now. You need to speak to somebody right now. I think you can get in. I was like, where? I don't know. She's like, just go up there. So I go up there and then speaking to the recruiters from the honors college. And I was just like, man,
From Penn
listen.
State Schreier Honors College.
The Schreier's honors college. I was like, listen. They're bragging about their statistics. They're like, everyone who got in here has a perfect SAT score or they scored in the top 99 percentile. I was like, buddy, that wasn't me. So I don't know what you want here. And they was like, but listen, but we evaluate the candidate holistically. We're going to give you 3 essays to judge your character and fitness, and we'll evaluate you based on that, and then an interview. And then we'll see what happens. And then the rest is history. I applied, I interviewed, I got in, and they also gave me money, right? But the thing is, had I not went to the bathroom on that day at that time,
Yeah.
a lot of things would not have happened.
There's a lot of chance right there.
Right.
Had you not taken it up, had you not, all these things. So here.
Had I not done that, yeah.
So we're on the line, right? You're giving us lots of stuff where you're in the front of the line. You're giving us lots of stuff where you're behind the line. And in the end, to me, it evens out and you're on the line.
Right.
So here's what I want to ask you. What part of Will's story is most important? The things that happened to him, external factors that shaped his life, or the free choices that he made? Which is more important? Or are they equally important? Why didn't those kids do what you did? Why did so many of them not do what you did? Because this is a fair question, right? Because it's freedom and it's structure, right? It's freedom. We can say, oh, they made the choice to not do what Will did, so we get stuck in freedom. But wait, hang on a second, man. But remember, structure is an operation too. So help us understand why they
this is
that.
a really juicy question too. I don't fully know, right? I can't explain fully the behaviors of others from their personal lived experience unless I get to know them, ask them really good questions. I can look at the external factors, I can look at the data, I can predict, I can see like, oh, they were more likely to do this, but I need to know them on a personal level. But here's the thing, I'm gonna get to your question, Sam.
Yeah, because
I'm asking you. I want to expand on it right now.
Okay.
Right?
All right.
Because one of the things that you said was like, but I personally made better choices. I locked in. I worked hard. I applied myself. Y'all worked hard. You got here. But here's the thing. I want to push you. I want to push every single person in this classroom and on the stream to think about when we say that people made bad choices, what does that mean and what do we gain from that? Like, that's such an easy answer. I'm here because I worked hard. They're here. They're not here because they didn't work hard. They made bad choices. That's honestly one of the laziest things I've ever heard, to be honest.
Well, it's
super lazy.
It's lazy. Okay.
It's super lazy. Because the thing is, it's not saying that choice doesn't matter, but I'm saying it's a really lazy and a simple answer.
Okay. For a sociologist,
because y'all can see, I want to say, because like, there's some people who like, they didn't really work hard, but they're here,
Yeah.
They're here. Their choices didn't matter. But the choice of like, oh, these people didn't work hard, it's lazy as hell.
Maybe.
Man. But go for it.
Yeah, maybe it's because it's the only thing we can control. It's one thing that we can't control, which is our choices. And see, this is why they call sociologists like the
Excusiology, right? That's what they call it.
Excusiology. Like, so you might be thinking, and definitely I know people on the stream and the chat are going off.
They're about to cook us, right?
Because they're thinking that I'm like, hey, Will, come up with an excuse for why these other people didn't do that.
Right.
I'm like, I don't want an excuse. I want a really smart, thoughtful, intellectual understanding for why they didn't. We know they didn't choose. We know that.
Yeah, they didn't choose. But I can tell you, my most thoughtful answer is that they had external factors that shaped their behaviors a lot more than we give credit for. That's what I will say. Personally.
Dude, I got that. Dude, you can stop right there. That is the answer right there.